What happens to a green leaf in the wintertime when it starts to get cold? If you answered that it changes colors, sorry, that answer is not technically correct. You see, the yellow was here all along. I just couldn't see it because the green chlorophyll in the leaf was covering it up. But when it gets cold outside, then the true color is revealed. Now, what happens when a person mistreats somebody else? They are cold-hearted, they gossip about them, or they reject them, leave them out, they don't include them, or they even pick on them or bully them. Now, what also happens whenever somebody is kind to somebody else, whenever they don't turn a blind eye to somebody's pain, whenever they are willing to risk social discomfort in order to help somebody else out and stick up for somebody, what happens? In both situations, the same thing is happening. The true color is revealed. Welcome back to Culture Shock, you guys. We are learning all about what Jesus has to say in his famous Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5, 6, and 7. Today we're in Matthew chapter 5, and we're looking at the second thing that Jesus has to say about how to live the best life. Now, we just finished talking about how whenever a bad, negative situation happens, our true colors come out, right? We cannot hide the condition of our hearts. But why is it that people, more often than not, will treat other people in a cold, unloving way? In fact, it's been normalized now. Our society or our culture teaches us that, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Every man for himself. The fittest will survive. All these things. And we've rationalized, we've justified bad, negative behavior, treating other people poorly. Why is it? Why is it that people think it's okay to turn a blind eye to someone else's pain? You see, I think the reason for that is because everybody is insecure and nobody wants to lose their social status, any bit of security that they have socially. Everybody wants to feel normal. Everybody wants to feel accepted. Everybody wants to be liked. And those are all normal things. But unfortunately, we take it where we can get it. And if that means that the only way we can get it is by letting somebody else take the fall, then we're okay with that most of the time. If I get to feel better about myself by making fun of somebody else, then society kind of lets me do that. They get away with it. We tell ourselves things like, well, better them than me, right? But is that what Jesus has to say about how to find that internal comfort, how to feel secure and liked and loved? Does Jesus say it's okay for us to step on people's faces in order to climb the social ladder a little bit higher? I remember in gym class when I was in middle school, there were these two girls, I'm going to give them the names, Amanda and Lindsay, and nobody wanted to pair up with them whenever it was time to get into teams. My gym teacher told us to get into groups of 3, and everybody started to ignore and move away from these two girls. I watched as their eyes were darting around the room, hoping that somebody would pick them. And nobody did. And it kind of broke my heart. And I knew that God was talking to me, and I knew God wanted me to do something about it. But I knew that if I did that, the other girls in my class were not going to understand, that they might think I was weird, or they might start treating me differently. My social standing was going to be affected by my actions, and I knew that, and I was torn inside because I didn't want to be made fun of. I didn't want the other girls in my class to think less of me or make fun of me for picking these girls for my team. But I also felt like God was talking to me. So what was I supposed to do? Jesus has an answer to that. It's in Matthew 5. We're going to look at it in just a minute, but before we get there, I want you to pause and take a minute to think about when you've seen somebody in need, where you've watched them be rejected, you've watched people turn a blind eye to their pain or discomfort or stress or frustration, and you saw it happen, and you felt compelled to do something, but you were also torn. I want you to stop and think about that situation for a minute. And after that, click on the next link because we're going to talk about it in part 2 and keep this conversation going. I'll see you there.